I guess I did it again. WuWa's been great. 2.0 was an absolute banger. It was probably one of the best patches I've ever experienced in Wuthering Waves, and they absolutely did address what I wanted to see. They managed to basically stand out from the crowd by just doing a good fucking update. And the story, it did do exactly what I asked for. Paying attention to the final dialogue of like the main quest, you would believe that some random ass NPC plus Frolova would be like the most skippable fucking interaction ever, till that like Chris guy just drops a bomb. We actually got questions answered, but enough about that. I want to actually just talk about 2.1. I think it's a fine update. Fishing is basically the new endgame actually, and whatever this is. I cleared it so fast that like this wave still spawned. I don't know what happened. She says 0R1 by the way. But Jesus Christ, I am actually sidetracking like crazy. And I think honestly, I've kind of been like this for the last 2 months, for all the time I was gone. I didn't make any videos because I was actually starting to feel like I was going crazy.
As a bit of like a disclosure at the start of the video, I think echoes are fine. I think echoes are great.
And it really demotivated me to make any sort of content. I know there will be people in the space that's gonna agree with me, and I know there's gonna be people that disagree, and that's fine. But it's pretty hard to be motivated to make content if I am constantly getting dislike bombed, basically because people don't even want to fucking listen to me. For example, my critique on the gacha revenue report. In fact, it reached under a 50% dislike ratio in the first day. Because guess what? It was just a bunch of Hoyo shills that was mad that I was criticizing the fucking report. Thank God for VXV for actually helping me out. But that's nothing new really. My content has always been heavily disliked. My channel average is at 77%. But that could also just be on my end. I cannot force people to like my content or my style. And I'd say I definitely learned one thing. You can't expect overwhelmingly positive reception if you're being brutally honest with your critiques. And if I want to make an impression, it's pretty hard not to come across as very aggressive, if you are brutally honest. Which is what I do. I just say things as they are, and I don't really leave a lot of emotions into my arguments at all. In terms of how I construct them, I do deliver them with a lot of passion. And well, looking back, I can easily say that it comes off as really fucking aggressive. But I do want to attract a certain audience in the gacha community, and just have a discussion. However, it's pretty hard to do that when the people your content are getting recommended to are just not that at all. And it's especially hard when they decide to just completely fuck you over. And now, I did say earlier I have a backbone, and it sounds like I'm complaining like a little petty bitch. But it's kinda hard not to, when there's only been 2 occasions I have been incorrect on this entire channel. One where I made an assumption, and one where I did not do my research. Let me go through them. At the start of Wuthering Waves, I assumed that there was going to be way higher Echo XP drops in the endgame. That's why I advocated for once that we should not add more Echo XP to the game. Until I saw the Echo drops. I thought it would be reasonable because it was simply impossible for me to think that the Echo XP was that bad at the max level. Until, well, we found out that it was that bad. And then I obviously switched sides. It's ridiculous to require fucking 360 wave plate just to level up 1 Echo to max level. And so I've been on the race rewards and improved the endgame reward specifically for grinding characters. Grind, arc, whatever it was. And I still take my stance. And I still believe we need more Echo XP and we need something to do with the tutor system because after using it for almost a year now, it feels like a fucking joke and it needs to have more purpose to the game. And over to the other point where I was wrong was when I didn't do my research. And I didn't watch a clip. Specifically, Fob Master's clip about Changli and Jinxie are the same character, which I disagree with. Because I thought he meant they have the same end goal in their kits. Which is true. They have experiential differences. They play completely differently, but at the end of the day, they're working for the same thing at the end. And those experiential differences are enough to distinguish them as characters. But if we keep making more characters like that, then eventually the game will just be boring. And I'll give it to you right now. Nobody is complaining except the ones that don't fucking get it. Not even joking. The core critiques that was in this video right here has been added to Wuthering Waves. We needed mechanics like Spectral Frazzle and the future dot mechanics, whatever, that's tied to the elements. We needed that because the elements were by far some of the most undeveloped mechanics in the entire game. And they could do even more and evolve how the game works. And not only that, you can provide different ways to approach the game. There's only benefits to this exact system. And they implemented an elemental mechanic that wasn't just a carbon copy of Genshin. Kuro added a mechanic that fits their game. And it's so sad to see that creators like Tectone, for example, just completely fucking ignores it because he just doesn't care enough to go look at it.
Let's be real. There was a content creator called Vars. He said the content was a fucking joke. He said that certain characters couldn't support other characters in the fucking game and spread so much misinformation in one fucking video.
Because he thinks a 12-second clip taken out of context, where there's 4 minutes plus of context missing, gives him the whole perspective. That was why I stopped making videos. What was the point in trying to engage in a community where the one that quote-unquote acts as Gotcha Jesus doesn't want to hear the other perspective because he doesn't care enough?
Crunchyroll might get shut down, that's not good. The problem with Wuthering Waves team building, I actually no longer care.
It's sad to see him actually do this out of ignorance, because he doesn't even know the other perspective and just took everything at face value. He just assumed that everything Saint said was correct, which couldn't be further from the truth, because now he's involuntarily going against his own values, just because he doesn't care, because Vars was not spreading misinformation about the game. And his semi-uninterested, sarcastic response was probably enough to indicate that he didn't watch the video fully. And then he will listen to other people that echo the same sentiment? I want you to know that every single one of those people that watched the Vars video and disagreed with it, I am sorry. The principle of Vars' critiques towards Wuthering Waves are universally only a benefit. He asked for the game to expand their mechanics, and not just simply be outro skill buff number 1 and 2 and boom, you clear the game. How about we keep outro skill number 1 and 2 and boom, you clear the game, and add another one where you can go boom and clear the game, while not affecting the actual skill part of the game. It is only a benefit. But we're actively shutting down this discussion, and I've already critiqued Vars for his presentation of his video. I know when somebody is trying to weave in an opinion into a factual statement, which is not what you should do, but remove that opinion and he's right, which is why people already disagreed with him from the start, because they thought he was talking shit about their game. And the Brent drama was basically the tipping point for me, and that's why I started making this video specifically. This is a peak example of being lost in the meta sauce, as Ethan said himself, because there's literally already characters in the game that get an insane boost by having their signature. I started to lose my fucking mind, and shit just piling up over time, I just couldn't handle it. However, the reality is, nobody cares anymore, and we just let people say shit that's just not true, and we just run with it. Like how there's apparently no power creep in Wuthering Waves, which is untrue. Like for example, Glaive Kiyo's video on power creep. His reasoning behind why WuWa doesn't have power creep is fucking terrible. The problem with the damage type system of skill, basic, heavy, and ultimate is that none of them provide a specific use. At the end of the day, they are literally just a damage multiplier. So it literally is irrelevant that a certain character is in a certain niche, to put it. It doesn't matter that Camellia is a basic attacker. What actually matters is that she deals a shit ton of damage, because Wuthering Waves never incentivizes you to specifically get a basic attacker, a skill attacker, a heavy attacker, or liberation attacker, meaning that these 4 damage types are literally irrelevant to what determines power creep, because at the end, there are multipliers for DPS, and because this game focuses on overall DPS only, overall DPS determines power creep. And if you still don't get it by this point, just look at Dot in HSR, and then just draw a few comparisons. What is the point of using a worse team when you have access to a better one? And in the case of WuWa, why would you ever need to play a harder team when you can play an easier one that does more damage? Power creep exists for casual players, and that is the truth. And what's even more annoying is that we say skill issue if you can't, but then we also acknowledge that there's casual players that doesn't have the ability to do that because of skill issue. Does power creep exist or not? Answer, it does, but it is negatable if you have high skill. But not everybody in this game has the ability to do that. And I actually feel like I'm going insane by making these points, and whenever I fully explain myself, I still have not gotten an answer directly to as why I am completely wrong. I wonder why. Maybe it's because the people that are arguing against it don't know what they're talking about. However, if there's one thing I've always had the balls to do since the start of this channel, it is just to speak my mind and say what I fucking think. And I think that the WuWa community is slowly rotting itself, and we're slowly turning into the Genshin community again. If we allow people to basically disregard criticism because they don't have an issue with it, because we only look from our own experiences and disregard everyone else's, just like how it was in Genshin Impact, the game is going to fucking go downhill, just like Genshin Impact. And that is the last thing I fucking want. And that shit pisses me the fuck off, which is why I am back. I realized that why I started was because I was mad that people didn't see it. And when I decided to show it, I would get comments saying that I was wrong. See it for themselves months later just to see that there's people that actually agree. Because, well, whatever. If nobody else is gonna do it yourself. I might as well continue. So that's what I'm gonna do. Continue to speak my mind, saying shit as it is, because when I did so, and when I didn't assume things, and when I simply did my research, and when I just used the scientific method like a fucking normal person, I usually end up being right about a lot of things. I will continue to make content, and hopefully I'll also see people come to my channel and enjoy the content, just because I felt like sticking to something called integrity. And that is about it. So, I'll see you guys next time when I find something that pisses me the fuck off.